How we all doing? How we doing? So, aftermath of last night, get a few people in the chat. This chat, this probably won't be a long one. It's not going to be, you know, the way I normally do when I do a Sunday stream, it goes for an hour and a bit. We're cutting this one close, lads. We'll probably be looking at the 50-minute mark for this one. For the simple reason is I've got place to be straight after here. So that's why I was kind of hitting and miss. Will I get this stream out today? Will I not? And I said, I'll just change the times and we should be good to go. So we get a few people in the building. It's pretty much gone. Shout out to Joe every time. It's pretty much gone. You know, I started taking a lot more honey and that seems to have done the trick. So that cough is pretty much a thing of the past. Like, there's still a little cough there, but it's nowhere near as bad. It wasn't bad, but it's nowhere near as frequent as it used to be. So the honey did the trick. Shout out to Idiot 44 years ago. Great name. Great name. I'll name this account later. So yeah, let the chat build up a little bit. Like I said, it's not going to be a massively long one tonight. It's kind of going to be a bit of a, just to kind of get everyone else's opinion on the fight that happened last night, what you think should happen with both guys. I know Amir Khan, he's kind of pretty much done deal that he's going to go. I think that Amir Khan, he's on his way out. Kell Brook, I don't like the way he said that, like, for the right amount of money, he'd be willing to go. And because that kind of says to me, like, Kell Brook's not someone he's not poor. He's made a fair bit of money as it is throughout his career, but it's just like he sees an opportunity now to make one last big payday after this. And he thinks he's probably going to take it. Shout out to all the boxing fans. Yeah, man, big up to everyone who locked in last night. Last night's watch along was fun. It just went a bit bad when I tried to refresh it, and I ended up shutting the whole stream down. But that second watch along did better numbers anyway, so we got all right there in the end. We got all good there in the end. Big up to Mike every time. Could Kell Brook defeat Master Jax? God knows, man. Connor Benn's been calling Kell Brook, saying, you know, he told Amir Khan he'll get revenge and this, that, and the other. Connor Benn, I mean, I don't know. I just find the whole Connor Benn thing cringe as hell. I really do. I find the whole Connor Benn thing real cringe. He's happy to fight Kell Brook, but he won't fight David Avanesian. Khan would be insane not to retire. Khan would be insane not to. Oh, yeah. I get you now. Brook should bow on a high, probably won't. See, that's what I was saying in my video today. I think, like, if you took that win for Kell Brook, look, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big a win as Sean Porter. That was a prime Sean Porter, and it was for the world title. But Kell Brook has chased Amir Khan for the best part of a decade. He finally got the fight. He proved, okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt in that fight, that he had the beating of him. And I think that for me is, if you want to walk out on the, not on top in terms of your skill set, but if you want to walk out on top as in you've done what you set out to do, you walk away now. You walk away now, and then that's good to go. Do I think Khan and Brook will fight again? No. I know there's the rematch clause there for Amir Khan, but, like, I don't think he's that in desperate need of money that he wants to go through that again. I really don't. And before someone, I want to read that. Check my WTF playlist. I already did one on Amir Khan. I think I done one back in the summer. Any chance Khan takes the rematch, 8-week camp, one more fight, gets another few million, might be tempted with the money already on the table. He's a businessman. Yeah. Look, I see where you're coming from with that comment there. Like, that's fair due. Like, I mean, there is millions on the table to rematch Kell Brook, but I can't see it. You know, I mean, you could say the same about Klitschko. When he had the rematch clause in place for Joshua. There was millions on the table there in the rematch, but he chose not to. And I think Vladimir needs to do the same. I don't think he beats Kell Brook, to be honest with you. Well, he doesn't beat Kell Brook. I think he gets messed up again. And he took a beating in that fight. He doesn't need to take another beating. Oh, they were well in the millions. Khan is retiring. Yeah. Judging by the interview he gave, I'd say Amir Khan, we've seen the last of him. In terms of a fighter anyway, we've seen the last of him. Anyone in their prime? No. And make no mistake about it. if Conor Benn fights someone like an Avanesian, I give him a chance with. You know, I wouldn't rule out him beating Avanesian. But if he fights someone like Boots Ennis or anyone like that, that's why I think that he needs. I'm all right with how they've matched him so far. I'm just not all right with them selling these guys as legit top 10 contenders. They need to put him in there with someone who can bang. They need to put him in there with someone who has pretty good speed, because he's fighting all these guys who are slow, can't take a shot, have no punching power. The minute he steps up to anywhere near world level, I mean, let's just say for argument's sake, WBA order an eliminator between him and Boots Ennis, he's going to get annihilated. And it's not going to be a case if that fight's going to be marginally competitive. Boots Ennis will get rid of Conor Benn in a couple of rounds. He won't even get out of first gear. That's how confident I would be picking him. Because going from the Chris Algieri's, looking to chase up, shot fighter, shot former champions, to fighting someone like Boots Ennis, it's going to be such a shock. Conor Benn he'll fold instantly. Instantly. I agree with Ben's comment. Seeing him and Eubank are chasing paydays against Nate. Yeah, well, that's literally all they're trying to do. It's the same with Ben Shalom and Chris Eubank Jr. He really wants Chris Eubank Jr. in there with Kell Brook, because he can put that on pay-per-view. He can make money from it. It gets Eubank, it's not a legit win at middleweight, because Kell Brook's only fought once at middleweight and he's well past it at this stage. But they're trying to sell each fighter. Eddie Hearn is trying to sell Conor Benn as best he can and try to make as much money out of Conor Benn without him taking any L's. And Ben Shalom and Boxer are doing the exact same with Eubank Jr. I would say with Eubank Jr., it's a little bit more, how would I word it? It's a little bit more uneasy with Eubank Jr. because he is in his 30s now. He's had world title shots. The fact that he's kind of still looking to just make as much money with the easiest fight is crazy. Conor Benn, I understand why they're doing it. I'm not giving him a pass. He shouldn't be doing it. Eddie Hearn shouldn't be making statements saying Amir Khan and Kell Brook are over the hill, but the winner should fight Conor Benn. Making statements like that just shows what Eddie Hearn is all about in terms of his business making, in terms of his matchmaking. He literally, when he's not part of something, he's happy to, downgrade the fighters. But the minute he sees an opportunity to make one of his fighters look good, they're legitimate all of a sudden. Neither of these guys are any good anymore. But yeah, they should definitely fight Conor Benn next. Well, I thought Conor Benn was, tough fight for going to be looking at world titles. Not in your opinion, faded contenders. So, with Brook to feed to Ben should go and fight Boots or Ortiz. He won't fight either of them if he's the so-called next coming, and stop fighting. Yeah, Eddie Hearn is trying to make money off Conor Benn. He is. And look, people have said to me, like, gee, do you hate Conor Benn? I don't hate Conor Benn. I think he's much improved from where he was. But I'm not one of these guys who's going to give him a pass. And it's not me, how would I say it? It's not me having a go with Conor Benn fighting these guys from a purely matchmaking point of view, in a sense of helping to develop him as a fighter. As a development fights, they're fine. As I said several times, the issue I have is Eddie Hearn trying to make it out as though these are legitimate opponents. That he said, and I quote, because you can go back and watch the Chantel Cameron undercard, he said Ben's next fight would be against a top 10, top 15 welterweight. 3 names he said were Algieri, Guerrero, and Victor Ortiz. None of them are legit opponents anymore. So for him to say that, it just shows. Well, I think Eddie Hearn is quite out of touch with the fans at this stage. You only have to look at the DAZN and the quality that they're producing, and you can see that Eddie Hearn is out of touch with the fans. I think Eddie Hearn, me and Hatman were talking about this on Discord the other day, that we kind of feel as though, how would I say, Eddie Hearn has had so much success. And don't get me wrong, as a promoter, he's put on some brilliant shows. He has. And he's a great promoter. There's no taking away from that. But I think now he almost feels almost untouchable. So he feels like he can get away with selling Conor Benn fighting these no-hopers as massive fights. He feels that he can get away with having Mike Costello, Maya Jama, who else, Bellew, being, legit. Like, that punditry team from DAZN is garbage. Like, Laura Woods is fine, Ade is fine, Andy Lee is fine, and that's it. The rest of it is absolute garbage. It's literally Eddie Hearn saying, who do I like? You get a job. That's it. I didn't read that question, actually, by the way. Sorry about that. Big up, G-Man. What do you make of the glove? Yeah, the glove fiasco was strange. I seen that live. Fly gloves would have been inspected by the board. They would have been approved by the board. For them to do that in the ring, that was just silly. That was just Amir Khan trying to get any little advantage into Kell Brook that he could. And at the end of the day, fly gloves are not even noted as being puncher gloves. So why in God's name, and they're approved by the board and everything. So why in God, he did that because it was just a way to kind of get under Kell Brook's skin. They're the gloves you want? Oh, well, not anymore. A massive step up then. Yeah. Big up to Kieran, big up to G-Man. Brook was like a man possessed. He was, wasn't he, though? Like, he really was. I mean, I said that Kell Brook would come out a bit like a man possessed, and he did. He was up for this fight. Yeah, Brook did boss him. I do think, though, and I genuinely think this, if it had been prime for prime, Kell Brook would have still won, don't get me wrong. But it would have went a lot longer than 6 rounds, I would imagine. And I think it would have been a clean knockout as well. I think it would have been a clean knockout. Khan versus Mayweather would have been a good fight stylistically. I picked Mayweather to win the fight, but he wouldn't have it all his own way, I tell you that. Definitely not. Do fans who pay to watch fights feel like they've got value for money or swindled? Well, like, I paid for that card last night, and the card was crap. The undercard was absolutely farcical. And I've seen people in the chat and the watch along saying that we were paying for the main event. Like you see with some of AJ's old cards, you're really paying for the main event. You're not paying for the undercard. That's one thing about Dillian Whyte's cards that I normally like, is that his undercards are normally quite strong. I don't mind paying for a good main event if we have a decent undercard. But like last night, I was like, is what it is. I wanted to see the main event. I seen it. Had I not been doing the live watch along, would I have paid for it? No. The reason I paid for it was because of the watch along, because I didn't want to get a choppy stream and be pausing and kind of things like that. So the main reason why I just stuck with it was purely down to the fact of, or I paid for it, I should say, was down to the fact that I knew I'd be doing a watch along and I wanted the watch along to look good. Jake Paul beats Kell Brook. I know about that, man. Prince Charles Martin, John Fury. Conor just here for the money, will tire. Honest to God, right? I do think Conor Benn genuinely wants to be a boxer. He does. I think that Conor Benn and Campbell Hatton, you can criticize them as much as you want, but I genuinely think they have ambition in the sport and they do want to make something of their careers. Whereas people like Tommy Fury, you can just tell he wants the fame. He has no intention of winning world titles and it like that. He just wants the fame. So with Conor Benn, look, Conor Benn's definitely a fighter. He's a fighter true and true. And I think that he definitely would. He definitely wants to win world titles and make something of his career. 100%. Oh, 100%. Yeah, Boot Dennis would beat the shit out of Conor Benn. He really would. It wouldn't even be fun. I wouldn't even like to see that fight because he would absolutely annihilate him. Brook versus Benn. Well, Brook was talking very happily about Ben Shalom. I wonder would Ben Shalom be willing to work with Eddie Hearn? Because I don't know. And I'll tell you one thing, what I'm not liking about this whole Sky DAZN thing. Has anyone noticed that a lot of matchroom cards, a lot of Sky cards are starting to clash with one another? I really don't like it when they do that. I really don't. And it's not just because it's harder for people like me, and shout out to Jamie, Punch Perfect Boxing, big up G. Thank you for the £4.50. Appreciate that, man. As I said, any super chats I get, it's going in the London fund for next week. It's all going in that fund. So the money I made from the 2 streams last night is all in the London kitty. But yeah, I don't like the way that they're putting on cards at the same time as other. So like you Ben Shalom, a boxer, putting on the same card the same day as Josh Warrington's fighting Kiko Martinez. I don't like it when they do that. To me, that's just ego, and it's taken away from the fighter. I don't like it when they do that. I really don't. They should both retire. Yeah, I agree. The special one, Jose says, Jake Paul can't even beat KSI. Jake Paul has a little, he's not a world beater or anything like that, but he has a little bit of ability there. A little bit, very little. Whenever a fighter handlers are afraid of their boxer taking a loss, something's not right behind the scenes. That right there is an excellent point. That right there is an excellent point. And you know something, and it goes into something Jamie was talking about in one of his videos, a different fighter. It goes into Joshua Buatsi as well. Because with Buatsi and Benn, what's the thing you notice about them two that's happening consistently? Whenever they're fighting, now Buatsi's been fighting the better opponents, he's more experienced, yes, but they're keeping them well away from punchers, aren't they? Well away from punchers. They don't want them anywhere near them. I reckon now, I reckon there is a lot of things going behind the scenes. Like Conor Benn has definitely improved. As a fighter, he's improved. I mean, if you told me a few years ago after watching that pay now fight that Benn would be looking as sharp as he is and looking as polished as he is, I would have laughed at you. I would have said he's going to get knocked out sooner or later. So I give him credit for that. But Buatsi as well is very talented. And during GB, the Rio 2016, he was the one people were touting. Like I remember people telling me about this Joshua Buatsi coming through. They said he might fight at super middleweight, but he was the one that everyone's eyes in the UK squad, the GB squad, was on. And it makes me kind of curious as to what's going on behind the scenes, because when someone, especially as an amateur, especially a good amateur like Buatsi, is talked up that much as an amateur, you expect them to make inroads quickly enough in the pro games. The fact that he's still at that level, that British kind of level now, and the fact that they were going to put him in with Vlasov back at Christmas, that fight didn't happen because of an injury, apparently. And they've not made any attempt to reschedule that fight. That says to me that they got cold feet, that they maybe took that fight thinking, okay, let's get him in there. Let's get him in with a world level guy. They maybe stopped and thought, hang on a minute. If he loses, no. Let's get him some British level fights. Let's get him a Craig Richards or someone like that. Someone who you pick him to beat. Now, I pick him to beat Craig Richards. I would. It's going to be a good fight, though, but I'm picking to beat Craig Richards. Brush with target, someone like Thurman. I said that as well, actually. Thurman might be an interesting one. But see, the problem with Brook is making 147 is going to tear him apart. It's going to absolutely tear him apart. And shout out to Sean Hodge Boxing every time. How you doing tonight? And they're pretty good, man. I just know this isn't going to be a long stream tonight. I just know that. I wanted to get this in, but I just know it's not going to be a long one. You pick Brook at a 150 catchweight. Now, don't get me wrong. That Brook who fought last night would give Conor Benn some serious problems if it was at a catchweight, as you say. If it was at a catchweight, as you say, he'd give him some serious problems. Conor Benn, Eubank Jr will all lose this year. That's a bold claim. That's a very bold claim for them all to lose. Can't see Benn losing unless he fights a Ortiz or someone like that, or Ennis. Eubank, I doubt it. Depends on who they put him in there with. Like, if they can't get Kell Brook, I don't know who they put him in there with, to be honest with you. But I can't see. Maybe they'd look at doing John Ryder. Maybe get him up to see if they'd offer John Ryder enough money to do a fight at 168. Why not? Yard, again, can't see it unless they match him with someone that they underestimate. I can't see it. Yeah, oh man. Honestly, it's the more I think about Hearn and DAZN now, the more I kind of think to myself, did Eddie Hearn have the BT deal in mind when he went to DAZN? Because that was kind of in around that time where he moved up. He announced he was moving to DAZN. I wonder, did he have that in mind, as thinking, okay, once DAZN get BT, it's Premier League football, it's Champions League football, as well as other sports they do on BT. That is it's almost like getting Sky 2.0. You know, he'll have that to kind of help push him along. Now he doesn't have it. And you're kind of like, oh no, what do I do? And I think Eddie Hearn, as me and Hatman were talking about, I think he's kind of starting to get a bit out of sync with boxing fans, because the DAZN cards, I gave him a pass at the start, but they haven't been good. You know, they haven't been up to the standard. We're paying £8 a month. The team, the production is questionable. The team he has as pundits and hosts is just abysmal. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And for Eddie Hearn to think that is acceptable to give to the boxing fans, it shows how out of touch he is. Serious changes. I genuinely think Eddie Hearn needs to overhaul DAZN completely, or his part of DAZN completely. I think it needs a complete overhaul. It needs a complete overhaul. And again, going labouring the point here, but Eddie Hearn stated that he's the $1 billion promoter. So if the money is there, surely these cards can be better than they are. Because I would give a pass on one or two bad, but when it's consistently the same, you're looking at them, you're like, these aren't good enough. Yeah, these aren't good enough. Like, I'm not paying £8 a month to watch, next gen shows every weekend. Hey, J man, I'd like to see Brook versus Ugas. I think Ugas would be too strong. I think Brook would outbox him. What does he get from Benn? I can't see him fighting Ugas unless it's for a massive amount of money, and Ugas is obviously fighting Spence next. And I don't know. I think Spence is going to win, but I don't know if that's going to be straightforward. I think he would. I think Benn would get exposed, so I don't know why they'd risk it. If they do Conor Benn, mate, there'll be no catch weight. They'll want to do it at 140 or 147, I should say. They'll want to make sure it's at 147. I'd rather see that was a fight there, and whatever happened to Josh Kelly actually is a matter of interest. Just purely out of a matter of interest, whatever happened to Josh Kelly? I've heard very little from him or anything since that loss to David Avanesian. By the way, lads, there's 141 in the building. If you could smash the like button, just I'll only ask once. It does help your boy out. But I would have loved to have seen Benn versus Kelly, because that was actually, I thought that would have been a good fight. I would have picked Kelly to win. I think stylistically, Kelly's speed would have caused Conor Benn fits. I really do. I think his speed would have caused Conor Benn an absolute world of issues. I'm glad Brook won. He deserved it. Meant more to Brook than Can. Yeah. Brook was elated in the ring. Did you notice that? How happy he was? He'd sworn he just won a world title. He literally sworn he just won a world title, because that fight meant so much to him. That fight meant more to him than probably most fights. He really wanted that fight. Bambi Legs Can got saved by the referee from sitting stretch. Oh yeah, man, he was going to get knocked out sooner or later. It was coming. It was coming. And he's suffering from tall puppy syndrome. I think he's just out of touch, mate. Mayweather would do to Can like what he did to Canelo. It would have been one-sided. Mayweather is too short. I think Mayweather at the start would have. I think it would have been interesting, man. I'm not convinced it would have been a one-sided beating for Floyd Mayweather, or beating of Floyd or Can. I think Mayweather and him would have been a good fight. I think Mayweather would have won. He would have figured him out, but it would have been fun to watch. Marku versus Kelly. That's an interesting fight, actually. I wouldn't mind seeing it. They're both actually, that's an interesting shout, because they're both signed with Boxer. They're both with Ben Shalom. I'm late joining the stream, but Brook should stay well away from Eubank. Yeah, he should. He should. Tie-in boots. Yeah, man. He was never. I remember Tie-in Boo telling that story that he sparred him in the run up to the Prescott fight, and he was living in his head. He kind of mentally got to him. That's why he got messed up by Prescott. Conor's father was also considered a bit chinny, but didn't duck anyone. That's what made him so exciting. Yeah, Nigel Benn was kill or be killed, wasn't he? Nigel Benn was literally kill or be killed. He was vulnerable, but he was a fast starter. Man, he was powerful. Meaningless. Because Khan can legitimately claim he's nothing left. Yep. Like Amir Khan, that loss won't bother him. I wouldn't say that loss would bother him in the slide. I'd say he'll kind of be like, crap, I lost. And he'll dust it down and be fine with it. If Kell Brook had lost that fight, he would have went, that really would have hit him hard. Because Amir Khan is just kind of like, well, I lost. It's just done. I lost. If that was Kell Brook losing, he would have hit the roof. He would not have been happy at all. He would have hit the roof if he lost that fight. I remember a guy, alias of G-Man. Yeah. Jermaine Brown. That's the guy. Yeah. Fellow G-Man. My fellow G-Man. Can was winning the fight easy. Ref stopped it too early. Rob Can. I know you're not serious with that. Yeah, it was a very good point made by Joe with regards to that. Conor Benn is Eddie Howe's cash cow. Yeah. You're spot on there, mate. And I think that's why Eddie Hearn is trying to match him so carefully. That's why he's matching him so carefully, because he's making great money off Conor Benn. He doesn't want to put Conor Benn. And I can see where he's coming from at the end of the day. Like, imagine putting Benn in with Ennis. He'd never win. And he'd get battered, and he'd get battered bad. And his stock would take a whack if he lost to Ennis, especially if he lost the way I think he would, which would be a pretty fairly early, fairly straightforward knockout win for Boots Ennis. Cheap but average too. DAZN is I like the platform. I like what they're doing. I think that if it's done well, it can work very well. But I think that at the minute, it's just not what I was expecting. I just think that it's been very lackluster. I've not been happy with the production, nor the fights, nor the team. I haven't been happy with any part of it. I still think he can improve it, but will he? Remains to be seen. Hearn seems to have made the mistake of believing everything has to be digital and modern. Many people love the old platforms. You have to pinch new ideas in, or phase new ideas in gradually. Yeah, mate. And I think that what Mick Hennessy is doing with Channel 5 is very good, because do you remember people like Amir Khan, people like Prince Nassim, Nigel Benn, and Jerry McClellan? That was on ITV. I think that having some of these fighters on terrestrial TV helps them exponentially, because look, the amount of times I've known people who wouldn't be hardcore fans, who maybe are home on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and I might just say, the boxing's on ITV or Channel 5. Oh, is it? Sure, I'll watch it. And some of them take an interest in some of them fighters. Like, I knew people when Sam Egerton last fought, that was on Channel 5, and it was a good fight. I forget the guy's name he fought, but it was a good fight. And people who don't normally watch boxing watched it because there was nothing else on, and they enjoyed it. So that's getting the name out there. Whereas the DAZN, if I tell them about that, it's a subscription based. They're just kind of, what? Ingle could never be friends with. Yeah, Prince Andrew doesn't sweat. I think he's been sweating a lot lately. But his mother is coming to the rescue. Yeah, thumbs down, all right for that. Hearn hinted at a broadcast partnership when he moved from Sky, so maybe he had the BT deal in mind when they jumped. Yeah, I reckon he did. And I'll be frank, right? I reckon he would have, if we know now what we knew then, if the BT deal wasn't part of this or wasn't being talked about, I reckon he'd have stayed with Sky. I reckon he'd have stayed on with Sky because he knows the power of Sky's marketing. And I think that he was thinking in the back of his head, if BT Sports are coming in, or we're getting Premier League football, we're getting, I think they do rugby as well. They do wrestling and stuff like that. UFC, actually, some shows do UFC cards to be on there. If we're getting all that and we can market all that with DAZN and boxing, it's not going to hit him as much. Whereas now it's all down on him. And I think the marketing, I think he's missing Sky's platform, because you watch, for example, like you watch F1 or darts or something like that. They're to every chance they get, they're plugging, this game is on. The Merseyside Derby is on. City versus Tottenham. Or the darts, the World Championship is on. Do you know Amir Khan's fighting Kell Brook next week? It's on Sky. He's missing all that, because that helps out exponentially, and it's gone now. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, he has signed a boxer, but he hasn't fought yet. I still don't. I'm telling you now, right? Josh Kelly is going to be a shell of himself when you see him in that ring next. He is going to be a shell of himself. He did not take that loss well. He did not take that loss well at all. Kell Brook beats Eubank. I doubt that. Prediction: Benn's next fight. Someone, yeah, it's going to be that guy. I think Chris Van Helder. Is that how you pronounce it? That guy. Yeah, he's probably a step down, in all honesty. He's probably on the same level as at this stage now as an Adrian Granados. So not ideal. Yeah, that Natasha Jonas should never been. That was a joke of a fight, man. That was silly. That girl, when you just look at someone and instantly you can tell they don't know how to box. She didn't know how to box. And again, it really does show. I know there's not that much depth in female boxing, but they literally just tried their best to get her a world title. That was literally it. They just wanted to get her a world title. There you go. What do you think of Bradley Ray? I like him. Good, exciting fighter. Yeah, he looked very good last night. What I will say about Bradley Ray, though, is he wasn't in there with much. I know the guy he was fighting was undefeated, but I've seen him fight in Ireland a few times, and he's garbage. He's absolutely garbage. Josh Kelly still beats Conor Benn. Hot take. I'd need to. I don't know if Josh Kelly is going to have the same spring in his step he used to have. If he does, I'd pick him over Conor Benn. If he doesn't, then I don't know. It's a closer fight. How do you think Crawford would have got on against Floyd? Would have been a good fight. I would still pick Floyd Mayweather to win, but that would have been a very, very tough fight. That would have been a real competitive fight. I think it would have been that kind of fight, 7-5. There would have been a close competitive boxing match. I think you need someone who can really outreach Floyd, really outreach him. I think Crawford has a longer reach, but not longer arms. You need arm length. Thoughts on Adam Azim, good fighter, got a big sport. Yeah, man, he looked good in that little fight. Now, that was one of the first fights I saw last night. He looked good in it. It's trained by Shane McGuigan as well. It's as simple as that. And I'm hoping Eddie Hearn does do it. I'm hoping he listens to people complaining and saying, we don't like this. We want something better. And he does change things. Because he's literally, again, I don't want to keep going on and make this about me knocking DAZN, but he literally just decided to copy and paste what Sky did and do it on DAZN. Get people I know and I can trust, and I know they won't speak out of place like Tony Bellew, and get guys in like Mike Costello who are garbage, but I like them. So tough, you have to like them. It's like we don't want that. We want a bit of charisma. You know, Eddie Hearn prides. The funny thing is, Eddie Hearn prides himself on being Mr. Charisma. You know, being this hip young promoter who I go on social media, I do this and I do that. Well, you went very old. You went very safety first. You didn't really go with much character and depth when you put this team together. You literally just went with, who's gonna give me an old, what the hardest, for the most part anyway. I think Eddie Hearn's been edgy in the interviews lately because he knows Sky is good competition. Oh yeah, man. And at the end of the day, if DAZN UK isn't doing well, I think they would be. They'd come back to Eddie Hearn and say, well, that's a reflection on you. They'd literally come and say that's a reflection on, you. Yeah, they're not as good as they used to be. They definitely aren't. Yeah, Fury had exposure on there as well. AJ had it from BBC from the Olympics. Terrestrial TV is worth it. Oh, mate, like it gets the name out there. It gets people used to seeing these on a terrestrial TV format, and a lot of these views. So what was Amir Khan was doing crazy views or something like that when he was fighting on ITV. Was it ITV or BBC? I know it was ITV because I seen one of his fights on there, and he was doing crazy views on ITV. You had, as you say, Tyson Fury on Channel 5. You had James DeGale actually at one stage was on Channel 5. I think Carl Froch might have even had a few fights on terrestrial TV. It gets people knowing these guys. Joe Joyce and Dave Hay, remember they were fighting on Dave originally, which is terrestrial TV as well. It's a comedy station. Hearn campaign, yeah, I can't see. AJ is definitely going to be on Sky in future. They need the pay-per-view. Can you explain to me why Benn doesn't beat Eubank? He's a far better boxer, and Eubank has minimal power, even at 160. Right, well, first things first, I don't agree when you say he has minimal power. I think he's got respectable power at 160. I think that he will have the natural size. I think that he'll definitely, even at 160, he'll probably be the faster of the two, because I think Kell Brook, although his speed, Kell Brook's not slow by any means. His speed definitely wouldn't translate, I wouldn't imagine, to 160 pounds. And I just think Kell Brook, although his time in the Amir Khan fight looked all right, I could see him getting walked onto shots by Eubank. I could see Eubank, if he gets him up again the ropes, he'll have that physical strength on him. And I could see him just lighting him up with uppercuts. And even potential, maybe not long range, Kell Brook would have a slight advantage. But if that doesn't work, I could see Eubank easily just stepping on the gas and just pushing Kell Brook back. And I think he'd just be able to just overwhelm him. And I don't know if Kell Brook, even at 160, would he have the punch resistance? So you say you don't think that Kell Brook, or that name of the guy, Eubank, is the biggest puncher at 160. I agree with you that he's not got elite level power. I agree with you on that, definitely. But I definitely think his power is not to be scarfed at. And I definitely think he hits hard enough to bother Kell Brook. Definitely. He hits hard enough to bother most welterweights. Like George Groves even said it at 168 that, to be fair, although he doesn't set the shots up particularly well, he is heavy-handed. And shout out to Andrew for the £5 super chat. Again, goes in the London Fund. That London Fund is looking quite nice now, lads. It's looking quite nice now after the last week, actually, it's looking quite nice. Hey, G-Man, have you heard Eddie Hearn apparently offered Dylan a deal to avoid? Wow, really? The Sun. Oh, I don't know about the Sun. Let's have a look. See, when was that broken, mate? When was that broken? Because actually, funny enough, wow, I see it there. Actually, yes, you're right. Holy shit, man. Let's have a look. See at this. Thank you for breaking this news. I'm going to bring this up here. So let's see this. Dillian Whyte offered big money deal to avoid Tyson Fury fights and remain one of Eddie Hearn's star attractions. Let's have a read of this here, lads, right? Dillian Whyte has been offered a big money deal to dodge Tyson Fury. Hearn lost the purse bid to Frank Warren. So Frank Warren is in total control of the body snatcher's next bout against the Gypsy King, April 23rd at Wembley. Victory will see the 34-year-old land a career high 8 million, but the defeat would damage his brand ahead of a potential move, or the defeat would damage his brand ahead of a potential move to Eddie Hearn's DAZN streaming app in the future. So obviously Hearn is thinking, maybe he's panicking that he's not going to win. Where is the matchroom boss who has his shows broadcast on DAZN wants to keep a star attraction away from Frank Warren? Interesting. Doesn't specify really kind of what else is there, but he said he's on about Fury, so it's not really going in that much depth now. I'll probably still do a little separate video on it and just have a little chat about it. But that's very interesting. That is actually very interesting. That was on, I thought Carl Froch was on Terrestrial TV. If you give a man £1 billion to do a job, you're entitled to results. Imagine giving someone that amount of money and people still complaining about it. And that's again, it's such a bad reflection on him in the long term if that's the case. It's a really bad reflection because that's basically him saying, with your money, I still can't get this off the ground. 20% was 19%. Too much for a joke of a fight. White. 5K means he would be worth in Muhammad Ali times. Man, I think he only has himself to blame for that. But here's the thing, right? What is he gonna do? Like it said there, he was offering him a big money deal. What is he actually gonna do? Like, who is he gonna like? How is he gonna like replace that? Like, so who is he gonna chuck him in there with? Give me 1 sec, lads. Had to make sure. Had to get the just getting the thumbnail ready for that video. I'll get that probably out this evening at some stage. I feel Eddie Hearn is thinking he's made a mistake moving from Sky. Yeah. And judging by that article, that says to me he doesn't have full confidence. That says to me he does not have full confidence in Dillian Whyte beating Tyson Fury. That's what it says to me, that he's not fully confident that Dillian Whyte beats Tyson Fury, and that he's worrying now if Dillian Whyte loses, and maybe say he loses bad to Tyson Fury, that what can you do? You know, his pulling power on DAZN is going to be gone. Lads, 158 in the chat, and we've only got 34 likes. Can we try and get 50 likes? I know I don't like asking for it every 2 seconds, but it does help your boy out big time. Whyte offered about 7 million and acting salty. Yeah, man. He wanted something like 10 million. He's getting close to it. So I think I kind of went into that. Yeah, Brook is the superior boxer, but at that weight and at this stage in Brook's career, I definitely think that he'd be there for Eubank Jr. I can see Brook having some success early on, but definitely I'd be picking Eubank Jr. I'd be picking him heavily. Brook has a solid chin, but isn't the fastest. Eubank would run all night and let excuse me, the KO come. Yeah, the running from Eubank has never really been my thing. Or certainly in the last fight, that was excessive. If it wasn't for terrestrial telly, there you go. Prince Naseem, ITV. Eubank, ITV. Benn versus McClellan, ITV. If it wasn't for terrestrial TV, I'm amazed more of these promoters aren't buying up airtime. I mean, just imagine some of these guys you could be getting out on terrestrial TV. Imagine the numbers they do. And it's helping to build the brand. I think that these promoters nowadays are absolutely mental for not getting more terrestrial time on. And that's why, again, I like what Mick Hennessy's doing. I know Mick Hennessy gets a lot of flack But to be honest with you, he doesn't seem like. I'll tell you something about Mick Hennessy, right? I have my kind of test on someone's character would be, and this is a good one for anyone in life, right? If you look at someone, be it a promoter, manager, or anyone in life, and you just say to yourself, would I see myself having a drink with that person? So, for example, would you see yourself having a drink with Frank Warren? No, I wouldn't go for a drink with him. I'll stay away from him. But Mick Hennessy, yeah, I'd have a drink with him, chat about boxing. Yeah, I wouldn't. Same with Eddie Hearn as well. I'd have a drink with him, chat about boxing. It wouldn't bother me. I just think Eddie Hearn's a bit out of touch. But someone like Fish Eyes, hell no, stay away from me. Probellum need to go with IFL TV for the reason you stated. Yeah, IFL TV is a great little platform to get these guys on. And again, I think that's a good idea as well, just getting them on these streaming platforms. IFL TV wouldn't be as big as I don't know if it would get to as many people as its terrestrial TV station, and I doubt it would actually. No, it definitely wouldn't. But like that, it would help. It would help because it's free. You know, no one's paying for IFL. It's free. It's on YouTube. It's free. Cannon, the post-fight interview, was not shaking his head. Was not shaking with his right hand. I believe he hurt his hand, but not the seat because people would think he's making excuses. You could say he hurt it. I don't think it would have made a difference, to be honest with you, even if he did. I think Amir Khan, he's not going to dwell on this loss. So I think he's just going to dust himself down and probably move on and do something else. Eddie obviously heading his bets if White flips the bird. Yeah, well, that says to me he's not fully confident in Dillian Whyte. Because if you have full confidence in your man, you'd say to him, go over there, knock his ass out, come back here. We'll put you up on a pedestal. For me, that's him saying, oh, I'm trying to force you to lose. And, then I'm trying to sell you after you've lost the Fury. Look, here's a bag of money. Stay on here and fight. I know you want your title shot, but here's a bag of money. It'll soften the blow. I wonder, is that what's happening? Mick Hennessy shows are excellent considering low budget. They're very good shows, man. I actually quite like them. He's had numerous fighters leave him, but hangs in there. Some of the Channel 5 mains have been superb. They've been very good. They have been. They've been very, very good. And, Mick Hennessy, I know he gets a lot of flack. And yeah, he said some silly things in the past, but he definitely does. Again, he passes that test for me that I'd look at him and I'd say, yeah, I'll have a drink with him. Same with Eddie Hearn and other guys in boxing. People like Bellew, no. People like Kovalev, no. Warren, no. Even Bob Arum, I wouldn't have a drink with. That's kind of how I would assess it. If it's just a case of, it's just a case of like, no, I wouldn't then. And I use that in every aspect of life. If you've got a boss or anything like that and you think, would I go for a drink with him? If the answer is no, you kind of know what you're dealing with there. White's chin deserves an in-depth analysis from Matt, Man, or Chris. Shout out to both them guys. Big up to Chris every time, man. Big up to Chris Andre. Man, Chris Andre could analyze anything and make it entertaining. What's going on with Fish Eyes? Your guess is as good as mine, man. I mean, Queensbury. Well, he's on top of the world now. That I'd say he's got that. He's got the purse bid win. Make no doubt, if Dillian Whyte doesn't fight Tyson Fury, wouldn't be at all surprised to try and make Fury Joyce next. In-house, that wouldn't shock me. Have no doubt. And they'll do that on pay-per-view, of course. Khan would need to go like Goro from Mortal Kombat and have 4 arms to have a... Yeah, man, didn't matter what he did. He was never going to win that fight last night. Kell Brook was just... You got the impression Kell Brook wouldn't be denied. You just got that impression. Give us 2 secs, lads. Apologies, people. I had to take a phone call there, and it was an important one. So I'll be back on now. Where did I miss? Sorry about that, people. It means I can go for an extra couple of minutes as well. G-Man, sort out the title, allow the calling the guy Kelly. Oh, did I call him Kelly? Did I? Oh crap, I did. All right, I can change. I can't believe that. I didn't even notice that. Kelly Brook had a massive crush on her. I didn't even notice that, man. Gee. I can change that here, actually, right there. One sec. There you go. That's changed now. That should say. All right. It won't let me change it now, but I can change that just after, so it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. But yeah, thanks for pointing out. I didn't even notice that. It must have been just a typo. Brook said that it has to be at 155 or Eubank stop using his name. Now, Eubank Jr. Oh, shit, I missed a load of chats there. Eubank Jr. is not a massive middleweight. He's all right. But yeah, I wouldn't say he'd be able to get down to 155, to be honest with you. I wouldn't imagine. Caboose is underrated. Haney won't fly to Oz. Yeah, apparently he got the foghorn leghorn before that. So if he won't do it now, I don't know why. I'm going to read this one first. Are you the same G-Man that's always donating the tie-in Boost channel and other channels? Where is the spare money from? Am I Conor McGregor's brother? Did he give you the bag? Yeah, that's the same G-Man who donates the tie-in boot. And it's just savings, mate. It's just savings. That's all it is. It's just savings. Nothing else. And do I have the bag? Well, look at some of the intros for some of the videos. And that'll answer that. Ainsley is my hero. I just think that's a funny avatar. Simple as. I'm not really a fan of Ainsley, to be honest with you. I just think the avatar is funny as shit. I really do. I think it's a funny old avatar. I don't think Khan would have beaten Kelly. Kelly. Yeah, I know. I messed that up big time. I messed that one up big time. But shout out to, who was it who said it? Yeah, shout out to Blunt Razor for saying that, pointing it out. I'll change it when this is finished. I'll just change it. Eubank been calling out Brook. Tells you all you need to know about his ambition. Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Ainsley found the piss bottle. That's actually a good point. What's up to TJ? Man, it's good. It's good. That's good, man. It's Sunday. We're talking boxing. And I've got a lot of good things coming up now. So I have this week and then I'm off next week. Heading to the UK for a couple of days. Well, heading to the UK from Tuesday to Saturday. Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, I come home. So it's been good. Kelly, Maloney, Brook. Frank Maloney was a good promoter. Frank Maloney had a deal with Sky back in the day. And some of the shows he put on were all right. He put on the Friday fight nights. But I don't think Frank's put a show on since... The last one he put on was in the thing, was when David Price lost. That's the last show Frank Maloney put on. He's really been out of the boxing circle since then. So I haven't heard. I think Frank was on about coming back in something like 2018, 2019, but he didn't. There was nothing more made of that. So whatever Maloney does now, I don't know. No wonder Amir Khan wanted to. Yeah. It's only since someone said it I noticed. I didn't even notice it. Yeah, Maloney was he was a good manager. So he was the manager for Lennox Lewis. Am I visiting at a studio when you're in town? Hopefully we can sort something out. Hopefully we can. I'm going to ask him about that probably this week. I am seeing Chris, Andre, I'm seeing Jamie on different days. So hopefully me and Ade can do something, even if it's just to go for a meal or something. And the Tuesday, because believe me, mate, I had a lot of issues just trying to get accommodation sorted between flights chopping and changing. I'm actually staying near Ade the first night because I'm coming over on Tuesday afternoon. So I'm staying in Stratford the Tuesday, and then I'm down in Hyde Park the rest of the week. So we'll see. Hopefully. Best promoter hands down is Calla Sauerland, the legend. Yeah, man, he is. And the thing I like about Calla Sauerland, he embraces. Like when people to be leaving comments about the way he's embracing all that. He loves all that. Yeah, I remember that interview. It was funny as hell. That was a good interview. I watched that card live. It was crazy. It was crazy. Mungi, I seen the win. I just haven't talked much about it, but I did see that win. Who's the best Irish role model? Or who's the next great Irish male potential world-class boxing hope? That's a very good question. I haven't really seen anyone who I would really honestly say is, I'm looking at him and I'm seeing, a world beater. The one I've been impressed at is Paddy Donovan. Now, he's in a very competitive, he's a welterweight. It's a very competitive division, but he's been looking good so far in his career. So I need to see. If I see more improvement to him, it'll be a good thing. But most Irish fighters are not particularly good. The majority of them are not particularly good. I think because the way they train, they're very amateurish here in Ireland with training. Like even when they come out of the amateurs, it's still a bit amateurish. And I just don't think they train hard enough in this country. I mean, like if you compare a UK fight camp to an Irish fight camp, it's night and day. Like they're doing way more in the UK. Actually, that's a good shout. Gary Cully is a good little fighter. I did forget about him. He's actually fighting Vasquez on the Lee Wood Michael Conlon card. So Gary Cully is a fighter who I definitely rate very highly, and I'll keep a good close eye on him. He's going to be a problem for a lot of these guys. He's going to be a big problem. Did I see Zepeda? That was a mess. I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet, but I will. I rate William Zepeda. I rate William Zepeda quite highly. I rate him quite highly. So I haven't seen him. Haven't seen the fight, but I will have a look at it definitely. Got no hate for Frank Maloney. Felt sorry for his kids though. Bit shameful. Yeah, look, we won't go into that. We won't go too into that. Big up to Joe. Just hit 250 subs. Was it one of you lot? I appreciate it, man. Big up to Joe. 250 subs. It's a great channel, Joe Stunner Boxing. If you just type that into YouTube, it'll come straight away. Joe Smith is the best Irish fighter now. Yeah. Yeah, I think he had that as his nickname at one stage, Irish Joe Smith. I think he had it as a nickname. Wasn't there a really good Irish prospect to turn pro? But he was unfortunately murdered because of some gang shit. Recently, I don't recall now, mate. Now, I know the last real kind of Irish hopeful was Darren Sutherland. He committed suicide. In terms of, I don't recall, mate, to be honest with you. I know there was, no, I don't recall. Yeah, Darren Sutherland would have done great things. Like, he would have done great things as a pro with Darren Sutherland. It's a shame. He committed suicide. Also, all sub, everyone, get to 100. It's just a click for Armchair Warrior. Big up. When's Canelo going to make his decision? Yeah, he said that he still hasn't decided on it yet. It seems to me a no-brainer that he'll go with DAZN. And I do think that's a better deal. I really do. Dalton Smith is the best British prospect. He is fighting on what card is it? He's fighting on the Josh Warrington card. And he's meant to be fighting an Irish fighter called Ray Moylett. I've seen Ray Moylett fight. He's nothing special. So Dalton Smith should batter him. But Dalton Smith is still a good fighter. He's phenomenally talented. I'd love to see him in there against someone like a Miguel Vasquez. I think he'd hold his own. I really do. Is MTK behind boxers? Rumors about. I haven't heard anything about it anyway. They're more behind Pro Bellum than they are boxer. It was a good fight and fair play to Brook, but Khan looked over anyway. Yeah, Khan looked shot to pieces. Salute, man. What's wrong with Frank Maloney? Just do a Google search. Just do a Google search, mate. Does anyone know why Darren Sutherland committed suicide? Yeah, I'm not. I think he had issues with depression, and I think that the whole boxing kind of scene, especially in the pro game, wasn't. I don't know if he maybe thought it was what he expected, and yeah, he committed. It was so sad and tragic. It really was, and he beat James DeGale a good few times in the amateurs, and James DeGale beat him at Beijing. And there was, they were planning at that at some stage, Sutherland versus DeGale in the pros, and it's tragic what happened. Such a talented fighter as well, very talented fighter. I really hope Boatsy, he does. He needs a lot of momentum. I've been a bit pissed off with the way Boatsy's career has been handled now, to be fair. I've been a bit peeved off. They haven't soldiered on with it like I would have liked. They really haven't. I've been a bit peeved off with his career handling. Because you're talking about a very good amateur, one of the main guys from Team GB. They were talking about doing good things in the pros. And for him to still be kind of just languishing around, to me, it's a bad reflection, personally. Yeah. I know. We won't go in too much into it, man. But yeah. It's Felix Cash, next European champion. Yeah, I'd say he would. I think he got a scare in that last fight, man. He got an L scare in that last fight. Someone asked me about actually before. You think Warrington beats Kiko? Yeah, he should just nick it. Bump into Darren Sutherland for Floyd Mayweather was doing an open. Darren Sutherland seemed an absolute gent. Like, he was such a cool. Like, I never met him personally, but just he always came across as a very respectable, cool guy, and he'd have definitely won a world title. He definitely had won world title to super middleweight. He was a super middleweight. I think he was only 4-0 or 5-0 when he died, but he died in 2009, and yeah, it's tragic. And he would have done great things in the sport. He would have been an Irish champion. Mark my words. He would have done great things. Warming back to Warrington again, I'm still a bit kind of. I don't know. Like, I'm still struggling to warm to Warrington, to be honest with you. The fact is that, like, he's fighting for a title he vacated in order to avoid Kid Galahad, who ended up getting knocked out by the guy he already beat years ago. It's a bit of it's all over the shop, man. It's not something it's all over the shop. Oh yeah, I seen that. They were trying to play that down and say it wasn't real, but that was bizarre. If it was, that's absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. That's the thing I'm looking forward to. And interestingly, I think Mauricio Lara is back out on one. I think he's out on March the 5th. He's on one of the DAZN cards. He's back out on a little low key card, but nevertheless, he's still back out. Frank, just some people still don't know about it because maybe newer fans never heard of Maloney. Frank. So many boxes, yeah, a lot of them had. It's sad. It's tragic. It's always tragic. It's tragic for anyone, man. I mean, like, just it's not a nice thing. Thankfully, I've never had to go through anyone I've known doing that. Thankfully, for that matter, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine how hard it would be on the family. It's got to be horrendous. I don't ever want to know. Hopefully, it never happens. Hopefully, I never find anyone close to me who does it. As the family, I feel so sorry for. It's horrendous. Taking the decision against Lara as a victory. Yeah, he literally is taking that as he literally takes that as a win. You said it pretty much spot on there. He's literally taking that as a win. It's head trauma. I boxed badly beaten, was dizzy for years. I felt at times to end it through that. I'm fine, but I'm happy to hear that, mate. Thank God you're okay after all that, and thank God you're still with us. Jesus, like it hits home for anyone, regardless whether I know them or not. It's not nice to hear in general. Do you think Avanesyan? It makes the Benn fight harder to make, in my opinion. But it's maybe a better chance for Avanesyan to make some money. So it depends what he wants. If he wants to make some more money, he'll get a ranking with the WBO. So it kind of depends. Yeah, glad it's okay now. Big up. And big up to anyone who's gone through that. Must be a horrible thing. Peace out to you, man. And big up to Connor. Got to get the kids off the bed, but best boxing channel on YouTube. Thank you. Well, I'll be calling it quits there in a few minutes as well, to be honest with you. Yeah, he lost that fight to Ray Robinson. He did. He definitely did. Sutherland was worried about an injury he had and potentially owed money to Maloney if he couldn't box. Oh, man, it's tragic. Absolutely tragic. But lads, I'm going to leave it there. We've gone a little over an hour now. And the reason why I had to start this up earlier was because I'm planning on doing something now in a little bit. I'll be home and all to do another video this evening and do a review of the week tomorrow. So I'll leave you with that. For now, lads, I hope you have a great evening. There's 150 still in the chat. If he's cut on the way out, please help your boy out. Smash the like button. Does really help. 58 likes. If we can get to 60, that'd be perfect. For now, lads and lassies, plenty more to come this week. And yeah, Ade's on soon. I'll pop over there for a bit. Plenty more to come this week. For now, I'll talk to you. Peace.